all of us have once faced in our lives. It can often lead us to feel agitated or distraught. The Stoics came up with a solution to this, though because in this video today we will go over 15 Stoic lessons in order for you to master disrespect. Before we start this video, I would like to say thank you for watching, and don't forget to like. And if you are watching this and not subscribed, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell for more life-changing Stoic content. Number 1. Remain calm and do not retaliate. When someone insults, disregards, or provokes you, it's tempting to get angry and seek revenge. But retaliating will only further inflame the situation. Take a deep breath and pause when you feel your temper flaring after being disrespected. Count slowly to 10. Press your tongue to the roof of your mouth. This technique can quick calm the nervous system. Remember that lashing out aggressively, even if the urge feels justified, usually makes things worse long term. It is better to gather control of yourself first before responding, if a response is even needed, beyond refraining from retaliation. In the heat of the moment, avoid taking revenge. Later on, when emotions have cooled too, trying to get even by passive-aggressively harming the other in return continues the cycle of disrespect. As Marcus Aurelius stated, the best response is not to become like the wrongdoer. Maintain your own principles and treat the other with dignity, even if they do not reciprocate at first. Your example can help. Elevate the situation with patience and self-discipline. Remain the calm eye of the storm when encountering disrespect. This level-headed strength often diffuses and transforms volatile situations better than reactive anger. Number 2, consider the source. As Seneca stated, he who takes offense when no offense is intended is a fool. Yet he who takes offense when offense is intended is also a fool. For the wise man ignores insults when someone is insulting or demeaning. Pause to reflect before reacting. Is their behavior a reflection of their own pain, insecurity, or ignorance, rather than an accurate judgment of you? Do they have unresolved issues, skewing their reactions in scenarios like customer service? Recognize disrespectful behavior often arises from stress rather than anything to do with you. Do not take transient interactions personally. Compassion for their suffering can help you let go of offense. More broadly, consider how people's perceptions and assumptions tend to say more about them than about external reality or others. Our subjective judgments are shaped by our biases and past experiences. What people attack in you often mirrors what they attack in themselves. Their disrespect does not necessarily imply any lack of merit in you. Keep inner faith in your value, regardless of how anyone else behaves. Let it roll off your back while maintaining steadfast dignity and self-knowledge. The wise do not internalize insults. Number 3. Be the bigger person. When insulted or mistreated, pause before reacting negatively. See it as a test of your principles and resilience. Find the wisdom and strength to rise above the urge for retaliation. Reply with calm assertiveness rather than aggression. You can set clear boundaries and protect yourself without stooping to insults or meanness in return. Make reasonable requests for changed behavior, but don't demand or command. If the disrespectful behavior persists, know when to walk away temporarily or permanently from the situation and relationship, but do so with integrity, not explosive venting or passive-aggressive parting shots. Maintaining poise and respectfulness when provoked transforms not just the conflict, but your own character. Each difficult interaction contains an opportunity to demonstrate principles of understanding, patience, and courage, as Marcus Aurelius wrote to bear. Trials with a calm mind robs misfortune of its strength and burden. Disrespect loses its power to disturb you when you face it with virtue. Lead by uplifting example. Number 4. Focus on what you can control. As Epictetus said, It's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters when insulted or mistreated. Avoid wasting energy on trying to change the other person or ruminating endlessly about the situation. You cannot dictate their attitudes or behavior, but you have full agency over your response. Ask yourself constructive questions like, how can I handle this with composure and ethics? What can I learn from this about myself and my principles? What is the most dignified way to move forward? Channel your power into the sphere of influence available, staying rooted in values, acting with integrity, calmly advocating for fair treatment when viable, and controlling the message you tell yourself. Of course, seek to improve circumstances through reasonable action when feasible, but without attachment to controlling uncontrollable things like someone else's conduct. Serenity comes from focusing only on what is within your power. Disrespect may be unavoidable at times, but you always can choose whether to respond with wisdom and principle or react with disturbance and blindness. Your control begins within. Number 5. Accept that you cannot please everyone. No matter how kind, skillful, or wise you are, some people inevitably will be disrespectful or dislike you. This is beyond your control. Reflect careful why. On the root causes when someone treats you disrespectful. Why does their behavior perhaps stem from vastly different values, worldviews, and experiences rather than anything about you? Personally remind yourself, people have a right to their preferences and opinions, even if they differ from your own. You need not take differences of taste as personal affronts. There are count L factors outside your influence. Of course, reflect on feedback to consider if you have room to improve your conduct. But not all criticism is fair or accurate. Discern mindfully, which reflects inner issues of the critic versus your own shortcomings. As the Buddha taught, some will hate you, some will love you. This is beyond your control. Do your best to treat all kindly, but accept. You won't be everyone's cup of tea. Make peace with this inevitability. Your worth is not dependent on pleasing the whole world. Stay grounded inwardly, following your own conscience. Manage your emotions skillfully when disliked, but don't expect universal approval. It cannot be forced. Number 6. Reflect on whether any of their criticism has validity. Stoics know we all have flaws and room for growth. Handle even disrespectful feedback thoughtfully. When someone attacks or mocks an element of your character, avoid knee-jerk defensiveness. Pause and review their feedback rationally. Once emotions have settled down, ask yourself, might this criticism highlight a genuine weakness in me? Even if the delivery is harsh, be open to usefulness of the message. Is there any room for improvement or virtues to cultivate related to the flaws they pointed out? Do an honest self-inventory before rejecting criticism outright. Of course, not all feedback is accurate or worthy of integrating use. Discernment to determine what comes from their own issues versus your genuine shortcomings. Consider the sources, wisdom, and motivations before fully accepting their critiques. Thank those giving constructive feedback, even painfully so. There is opportunity for growth, even in hurtful remarks. If you search for the lesson with humility, our enemies often point out weaknesses. Our friends gloss over to be kind. The Stoics know we are all imperfect and have room to improve ourselves each day. Even from disrespect, wisdom can emerge if you listen for it. Handle feedback with rational discernment rather than dismissing our critique as simply unfair. Number 7, remember that we all make mistakes. Feelings of anger and desire for retribution are natural when insulted or mistreated, but holding resentments rarely benefits you in the long run. It chains you energetically to the one who hurt you. Ask yourself whether a slight disrespect, real why, merits your ongoing distress and demand for vengeance. Is it better to simply forgive unskillful behavior that was not deeply malicious and move on, as Marcus Aurelius put it? The best response is to not to become like the wrongdoer. Wish them well instead. Forgiveness demonstrates courage and principles. Of course, some acts of disrespect cross lines, requiring accountability or removal from your life. Use wisdom to discern unhealthy patterns, necessitating boundaries from simple misunderstandings, warranting grace but for minor disputes. A short memory often serves happiness, as Epictetus said. We should control our anger and restrain it in narrow bounds, lest it become our master. Avoid blown conflicts. The respectful and wise know all people sometimes speak or act unskillfully, but kindness, patience and forgiveness heal rifts, renew your spirit. By releasing lesser offenses, choose your battles judiciously. Number 8, surround yourself with respectful, supportive people. Careful why audit your relationships in social circles. Do some individuals routinely act dismissively or demeaning toward you? Do they fail to appreciate your worth? Consider limiting contact with those who bring out the worst in you. Even if disconnecting completely isn't feasible, such as with difficult family members, try to minimize time spent together. Interact only briefly and under controlled conditions. Where possible, manage your exposure, fill your life instead with those who treat you with basic decency while encouraging your growth. Those resonating with your values make all the difference. Good company uplifts your whole being. Of course, have compassion even for toxic people, but protect your energy too. Relationships should empower both parties, not drain one. You teach others how to treat you by what you tolerate. Surround yourself with those who see your light rather than cast shade upon it. Life opens up exponentially when you let some connections recede to make room for fulfilling bonds aligned with your highest self. Number 9, do not gossip or complain excessively about the disrespect. Venting often makes you dwell on negatives and gives the situation more power over you. Of course, share disrespectful incidents with close confidants who offer healthy support and perspective, but avoid fixating endlessly to anyone who will listen. This reinforces victimhood and negativity. When you feel the urge to gossip or complain, arise, pause. First, consider if this is truly serving your growth or just spreading more toxicity. There are often better uses for your time and energy. Venting discontent can easily become a bad habit when disrespected. But as Seneca said, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Excessive complaining magnifies, hurt shift, focus to constructive action. Instead, look for the learning and difficulties rather than just telling. Tales of woe frame experiences neutrally as opportunities to demonstrate virtues like forgiveness, courage, and patience. When communicating, avoid words that blow up the significance of the disrespect. Be wary of confirmation bias in commiserating with those who only agree with your perspective. See the bigger picture. Speaking of grievances can release emotions in the short term, but keeps you stuck in victimhood. Handle difficulties philosophically within yourself, rather than amplifying negativity outwardly. Number 10, keep an emotional distance from those who mistreat you. When someone insults you, recognize it says more about their issues and character than your value as a person. Their opinions come from their subjective perspective, not any absolute truth. Don't take attacks personally. Keep inner faith in your own worth and principles. Regardless of others conduct their disrespect does not actually diminish your value. Remain grounded in self-knowledge rather than looking to them for validation. Of course, no one enjoys being attacked, but the impact on your spirit is within your power to manage. As Marcus Aurelius advised, choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been. Do not allow the shortcomings of others to become your own. By permitting their words to infiltrate how you see yourself, you remain fully in control over your dignity and inner peace. Externals cannot penetrate your mind and heart without consent. Keep your spirit elevated. beyond reach of unjustified criticism. Number 11, maintain your integrity and values. When insulted or mistreated, it's tempting to betray your principles in reaction, maybe demeaning them back, sabotaging their reputation, or even groveling for validation. But these reactive PLO only diminish your worth further. Rather than playing their game, stand firm in who you are. Keep exemplifying kindness, understanding, and fairness. Even if they does not reciprocate in a frustrating conflict, do not let their behavior drag you down. As Epictetus put it, dare to look up to God and say, "Make use of me for the future as thou wilt. I am of the same mind. I am one with thee. I refuse nothing which seems good to thee." Have faith in your higher purpose. Of course, be willing to examine your own conduct to see if you have room to improve, but do not abandon your core principles or adopt unethical behavior. Compromise on superficial matters, but not your soul, staying rooted in your wisdom and conscience. Earn self-respect and integrity. These become your steady anchor in any stormy conflict. Handling disputes with rational virtue reveals true strength and maturity. Number 12, be polite and professional, but stand up for yourself when necessary. Default to being courteous and extending basic respect to those who mistreat you. Take the high road, but avoid all owing harmful behavior. To continue unaddressed in the name of peacekeeping, passivity backfires when disrespected. First, see it out politely. "Please do not speak to me that way," or "Those remarks were hurtful and unjustified." Give them opportunity to recognize and adjust their conduct. Assume good intent. Initially, be firm and fair in establishing your boundaries. Of course, remove yourself immediately from any interaction. Turning verbal, "why?" or physically aggressive. Do not remain mistreated for sake of etiquette. But even then, part ways while upholding your own authority and principles. Find power in embodying essential dignity for yourself.